Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast, and today we've got a ton of stuff to go over. Obviously, with the Ravens, we've got some big news regarding Justin Tucker getting released by the Ravens. We'll go over that in just a second, but also the Orioles game did end a couple of hours ago, and unfortunately the Orioles did lose once again. They lost 9-1, and it was a pretty disastrous game all around, from the pitching to the bats to really everything. It was just an all-around, just horrendous game for the Orioles once again. We've seen a lot of this from the Orioles this year. They went out, put up 3 total hits, scored 1 run. Cade Povich didn't have a good day pitching, neither did the bullpen, and it was just a complete annihilation by the Twins to the Orioles. And yeah, we lose 9-1. Unfortunately, once again, the Orioles do lose again, and we'll be going over that game in just a second. But to start this episode, I do want to go over and just kind of talk about the Justin Tucker situation, because he did get released from the Ravens yesterday officially. Eric DeCosta came out with a statement basically announcing the official release of Justin Tucker, and it, as crazy as it sounds, obviously, and if you know the situation, it won't really, it's not too surprising if you know the situation, due to all the allegations that got put against him pretty much right after the season ended as well. And it was stuff that happened from before he even started playing, or it was from like his first couple of years in Baltimore, and it's starting to get brought back up, and the league's been investigating it and doing all this stuff related to that. And yesterday, Eric DeCosta, who is obviously the GM of the Ravens, he came out and made a statement that said, "Sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult, and this one is one of those instances. Considering our current roster, we have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant memories and unforgettable moments for the Ravens' history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers in the past decade. We're grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in the next chapter of their lives." So obviously, it does suck. It does suck to see him get released. Obviously, when you look at it from a football standpoint, he is one of the greatest Ravens ever, one of the greatest kickers of all time. You could even argue that he's the greatest pure kicker of all time. But all the allegations that started popping up right after the season ended, the league ended up starting to do an investigation. I think a couple of months ago they started doing the investigation, and it's still an ongoing investigation. And the Ravens were just following the league and following what they say, and just kind of taking it by ear and just not jumping on board with anything, just kind of following and trusting the league with that. And it's been going on for the past couple of months now. There's not really any big updates surrounding that, but whenever the Ravens did draft Tyler Loop, I think that was kind of the indicator that, okay, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction with kicker, because you don't draft a kicker for him to be a backup. Usually when teams spend a draft pick on a kicker, it's for them to be that starter for the future. And the Ravens did that. Obviously, they drafted Tyler Loop out of Arizona, and when that happened, it kind of gave the sense that that was going to be the case. And in the post-draft press conference, they were saying how they're going to make the right decision, and it's going to be a football-based decision. And that's also what Eric DeCosta was stressing, and what he was saying related to this release was that this release was a football-related release. Apparently, according to Eric DeCosta, it had nothing to do with anything other than football, which I do have a hard time believing, because if we're talking in terms of talent, obviously Justin Tucker didn't have the greatest year last year, but I have a hard time believing that it's purely based on football with all the allegations and all the investigations going on. But at the end of the day, it kind of did feel inevitable. When the allegations started popping up at the end of the year, and they kept popping, the initial ones popped up, and then even more popped up like 2 days later, and then after that, you kind of got the sense that, okay, this might be the end of Justin Tucker's Ravens career, and maybe not only on the Ravens, maybe in general in a football career. And yesterday the Ravens made the decision to release Justin Tucker, and obviously his situation that he in is horrible, and you hope that none of it is true. But from the obviously him getting released, the Ravens must not trust something, and the Ravens must, feel like at the end of the day they just want to move on from it. Even if I think it ends up not being true, I just don't think that the Ravens want to have to deal with any of that. They end up drafting a kicker, and they end up moving on from him. And I guess the time was right. Obviously, Justin Tucker is getting older, and he has been declining over the past few years. So it's not like we're releasing him in the middle of his prime. Obviously, we're releasing him near the end of his career. But it just sucks that one of the greatest kickers of all time, one of the greatest Ravens of all time, this is how he had to go out. He had to go out on allegations that popped up from a long time ago. And obviously, I'm not defending him or taking a side, but I mean, it's just unfortunate to see that. Justin Tucker was a player who, I loved as a Raven. I loved his personality, his energy. He was always so positive on the team. He was a player who I bought their jersey, just because of like how important he was to the team, and and you're gonna have to move on. That era's over, and it's Tyler Loop season now, but. It's just a weird scenario because you wish that it wouldn't have had to end this way, and it really sucks that it had to end this way. And it's just disappointing. It's really upsetting. Obviously, I hope everything with the allegations and everything isn't true, but it's not looking too good for Justin Tucker if we're having to release him. Now, I do think that he'll eventually end up playing for a team this year. I think that will be the case. I think a team will be desperate and pick him up just because of his name and his skill. But we'll see what happens with that. That's probably the last time I'm going to address Justin Tucker even on this show at all. I just kind of wanted to start off this episode kind of just talking about it, going over it, and just saying, you know what, it's Tyler Loop season. We're going to move on. There's a new kicker for the Ravens, and I'm super excited to see what Tyler Loop can do for us. Because, again, I think that they saw some really good things from him in rookie camp. And, he was drilling some 45 to 55 yarders consistently. He obviously... it's going viral recently. He had like a 75-yarder in practice at Arizona, so we'll see what happens with that. And it's officially Tyler Loop season, and we move on from Tucker and all of that, and we just continue to move forward in the future. Now, going over this Orioles game, the Orioles lose 9-1 to the Minnesota Twins. The Orioles record is now 13-21. They're 8 games below 500, and this is just the first game of a 6-game road trip coming up. Obviously 3 versus Minnesota, and then we have 3 versus the Angels, and it's 2 teams that have been struggling this year. Obviously the Twins are now 4 games below 500, but they were 5 games below 500 going into the game. The Angels are also struggling this year, so it's supposed to be a very winnable series, and obviously the Orioles in their past 2 series, they lost last series, but they beat the Yankees in that one series. And we're sitting here May 6th, May 7th of 2000 in May. We're at the beginning of May, and we've only won 2 series all year. We're over a month into the season. The Orioles only have 2 regular season series wins all year. They're 13-21. They're 8 games below 500, and I mean it's a disaster all around. It's a disaster with the hitting. It's a disaster with the pitching, and it's also a disaster based on all of the injuries as well. You look at Tyler O'Neill. You look at Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin, Jordan Westberg, Ramon Urias. Even guys like Brandon Young, who is in our AAA, is hurt. Chase McDermott's hurt. A lot of guys are getting pushed back in the rehab starts and everything, and Zach Eflin is supposed to be coming back sometime later this week, possibly the weekend, is when Zach Eflin's supposed to officially return to the team. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if when Zach Eflin's coming back, because we 100% need him. He's still, in my opinion, is the Orioles' best pitcher that they even have available. Him and Kyle Bradish are close, but I think Kyle Bradish takes it. But Zach Eflin obviously started off the year. He was our opening day starter. He was playing fantastic before he went down. So he was a very much needed player, especially in this time right now where we really can't afford to be losing games. Getting Zach Eflin back will be huge for this team. But, I mean, again, there's also guys like Jordan Westberg and Ramon Urias and Tyler O'Neill and Colton Cowser, who are 4 pretty much every single day players who are also hurt. So, the offense is hurt, the pitching's hurt, the pitching's also not very talented, and I mean it's a complete mess. They have more guys on IL than they do wins this year, and I mean the Orioles do have depth with talent, they have depth, But it doesn't really look like they have depth with the way that they're playing. It doesn't really look like these guys are producing like they should. And we'll go over that right now. So the Orioles offense put up 3 total hits in this entire game. 3 total hits, 1 total run scored. The pitcher for the Twins was Pablo Lopez, who went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, a run, a walk, and 11 strikeouts. So he destroyed the Orioles today. And going over to the offense, there's a lot of strikeouts, and this is in my opinion probably the most concerning part of the game. Well, not maybe the most, but one of the most concerning parts of the game. The Orioles struck out 17 times this game. Cedric Mullins 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Gunnar Henderson 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. Every single person on the Orioles today struck out at least once in this game. Multiple guys struck out more than once. Cedric Mullins, obviously, 3 strikeouts. Gunnar, 2 strikeouts. Adley Rutschman, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Ryan O'Hearn, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. The only 3 players that ended up getting hits today for the Orioles was Ryan Mountcastle, who went 1 for 4 and also brought in the run. Jackson Holliday went 1 for 4, and Ashton Kjerstad went 1 for 4. Kobe Mayo, Dylan Carlson, Cedric Mullins, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Ryan O'Hearn all win hitless today. And Kobe Mayo, obviously, he has all the talent in the world. He dominates in AAA. He kills it in AAA. He does his thing. But, last year when we called him up to the majors, he was trash. This year we called him up to the majors because of the Westberg and Ramon Urias injury. He hasn't gotten a hit yet in the 3 games he's been here. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts today. So just not good at all for Kobe Mayo. And then Dylan Carlson 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So, it's starting to really feel like most of the time now, like the 7, 8, 9 hitter are literally automatic literally just automatic outs is what it's feeling. So it's really like a 6 to 7 man rotation or starting lineup. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Orioles are struggling a lot right now with offense, hitting the ball, pitching, keeping players healthy, just all around. It's a complete disaster, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try and be positive about it because that's just the reality that it is. We're over a month into the season, and this team looks probably like the most disastrous team in the MLB based on expectation. But going over to the pitching today, Cade Povich was the starter. He went 6 innings, so it was nice to see him actually, fighting in this game. He does go 6 innings, which is good, but everything else was pretty bad. He goes 6 innings, gives up 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a home run, and 103 pitch count. His ERA sits at a 5.55. Cionel Perez comes into the game for 0.1 innings, gives up 2 runs. Matt Bowman comes into the game, gives up another 2 runs, and that was all the 9 runs accounted for. Gregory Soto was the only pitcher who didn't give up a run today. He went 1 inning, gave up a hit, and no runs. So shout out Gregory Soto, but you just kind of look at this game and, the Orioles have been in a lot of these games all year where the offense can't do anything, the pitching can't do anything, and they're striking out a lot. They've been in a lot of these games, a lot of these blowout games, and it all starts with the starting pitching, but it also starts with the offense just not being able to score at any sort of consistency at all. So hopefully they can pick it up, because that's really all you can say is that you hope that they pick it up. Obviously, they are on a 6-game road trip, 5 more games left on that. And again, I really wanted to see the Orioles go 5-1 or 4-2 at minimum. So, there's really no room to mess up. And if they lose tomorrow, they lose another series, and they're going to have to take the next 2 in Minnesota to get the series win. But if we go preview the game tomorrow against Minnesota, it's not really looking like we are going to. It's not really looking like we're going to be taking this game either, because if you go and look at tomorrow's game against Minnesota, surprise, he's back. He's back as the starter for the Orioles. Charlie Morton is getting the start tomorrow for the Orioles. Again, 0-6, 9.76 ERA, giving up 40 hits, 21 walks, 7 home runs. It's ridiculous. Charlie Morton, obviously, he's horrible. But the Orioles really have no choice but to pitch him. Actually, you could probably find a random guy off the street who could do better than Charlie Morton, but Charlie Morton, they really have no other choice. They don't even have any pitchers available because Brandon Young and Chase McDermott, 2 guys in AAA who we could potentially call up and who we've called up this year already, Both of those guys are hurt. So the two guys you want to call up from AAA are hurt. Zach Eflin isn't ready to come back. Cade Povich. You have Cade Povich, Kyle Gibson, Dean Kramer, and Tomoyuki Sugano as your four guys that are even available as starting pitchers because we moved Charlie Morton down to the bullpen. And now we're having to bring Charlie Morton from the bullpen back up to being a starter because we just don't have anybody else. We can't call up anybody from AAA, and we're not going to have a random reliever who's never played starting pitcher pitch for us. So obviously Charlie Morton has a lot of starting pitcher experience, so we really have no choice but to start him tomorrow. I don't know if this is going to be it's going to end up turning into a bullpen game because I don't really expect Charlie Morton to go out there and pitch more than 3 innings, and I hope that he proves me wrong. I really do. I really, really hope he proves me wrong tomorrow, but I'll see it when I believe it. Or I'll believe it when I see it. Sorry, I got a little confused. It is late here, but I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Oh my God. But again, Charlie Morton is the starting pitcher tomorrow. Not really expecting the best for the Orioles. It could be a pretty disastrous game tomorrow, and potentially a game that is very much like today's score, 9-1. Maybe tomorrow it'll be worse, or maybe tomorrow we can actually end up winning with Charlie Morton on the mound, which would be crazy if we were able to win with Charlie Morton on the mound. It's going to take a lot of runs because from what I've seen of Charlie Morton this year, I have zero confidence that he's going to go out here and put on a good game. And to be honest, I don't even blame the offense if they don't go out there and show up because I wouldn't even really want to. If we're down 6-0 going into the second inning or going into the third inning, I just really wouldn't want to hit either. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow. At this point, the Orioles season right now is kind of just like a big comedy. The starting pitching's a complete mess. The offense is probably the most inconsistent offense in baseball. They're either lights out or they're horrible. And most of the time they're not even in between. They're below average. Even with all the talent that they have, even with the injuries, they still should be doing better. But anyway, I'm starting to rant a little bit about the O's. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's Simeon Woods Richardson who is starting for the Twins. 2-2 record, 4.03 ERA. I'm not sure it's going to matter because I don't know if the O's offense is going to show up, and I know for sure that Charlie Morton probably isn't going to show up. So we'll see what happens with this game tomorrow. It's going to be super interesting, going to be super fun as well. At this point, these games do feel like a comedy, as I just said. So we'll see what happens with that, and then on Thursday is going to be the last game of this series. Not Thursday. Thursday is going to be the last game of the series, and we have Dean Kramer pitching. So. We'll see what happens with that because we know, this Orioles starting pitching, you never know what can happen. So obviously you're hoping for the best. You're hoping that they can get some wins in here, but it's not looking too good. If you go here and look at the AL East standings as of today, Yankees are first, Red Sox are second, Rays are third, Blue Jays are fourth, and the Orioles are still last. We're now a solid 6 games back from first, and with a negative 63 run differential. We've lost 3 in a row. We're 3-7 in our last 10. It's not looking very good, but they've got to find some sort of spark, and hopefully they can get a few wins here just to kind of stay a little bit afloat by the time that some of these injuries come back. And thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Birds of a Feather. Whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, I appreciate all the support. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify if you like this content. We'll have an episode up tomorrow as well, talking about the Orioles game, how it went. Hopefully it goes good. I don't know how it's going to go though with Charlie Morton on the mound. You can make your guesses, obviously, based on his history with this team. But we'll have an episode up tomorrow night sometime, right after post game, talking about the game. And we'll see what happens with that game tomorrow. We talked about Justin Tucker, the release of Justin Tucker today. Obviously, this is the last episode that I'm going to be talking about it because I really just don't feel like it's needed to be talked about anymore. We're going to move forward with Tyler Loop, and we'll see what happens from there. Very excited for the new era of Ravens kicking because I really do believe in Tyler Loop, and I think that he can be really good for us. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I'll have an episode up tomorrow, and you guys have a great rest of y'all's day. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.